did another sort of model for investment in game development and then the return on the investment. And you can see here, unlike retail and casual, your development cost continues for the life of the product. At some point, I imagine the game is not showing success. Maybe you stop developing it, and then the solid line sort of flattens. You can also see, though, that it takes a little longer than casual to recoup your expenses on your revenue, but it does go up. And this is not, say, an indicative revenue curve for like a Farmville or a big hit game. Those, though, are exceptions. Most games actually don't make money back. The ARPU's, average revenue per user, are very, very low in social. Only somewhere between 1% and 4% of people playing the game for free will actually spend money in the game. That's not a very high number. So of all the people who are playing your game, very small will actually play. So if you look at this room, we got, I'm guessing, maybe 150 people in here. If we're all playing the same game on Facebook, maybe 3 or 4 of us would actually spend money. That's not a lot. So it's a volume game. You try to get a lot of people into your game in order to make money. So this curve is highly volatile and can change quite a bit. It might go really, really high, but most of the time it is actually really, really low and pushed out in terms of when it crosses over and makes money. This is, again, modeled, though, after about a top 10 game on Facebook, sort of a reasonable success story on Facebook. Trends in social. So ported games are not successful. PopCap tried this. They took Bejeweled and they took the game that they already had in the download space and they just put it on Facebook. Didn't work. They had to stop, take it down, and start all over and design a game specifically to take advantage of the social graph and Facebook ecology. The other thing is that Facebook Connect hasn't been terribly successful. We've seen many experiments in the download space where Facebook Connect has been used as a way of pulling people into the game, or as a way to sort of virally grow your game. That doesn't work very well either. So what we're seeing here is that games that do well on Facebook are designed specifically for Facebook. And I'll get into a little bit of the why about that in a moment. Again, as I mentioned earlier, discovery is very hard. There's a lot of applications. There's 86,000 plus applications. They all want you to play their game or to look at your application. The viral channel is shrinking, so the use of the newsfeed is getting smaller, and it's getting harder and harder for people to get people to see their app. You don't know about it. There's no advertising channel other than those 3 boxes on the side, and like I said, it's expensive. That can be $1 million or more a month. As they shrink the viral channel, by the way, that means that you almost have to spend money on the advertising. In the old days, you didn't have to as much, and you could use the viral channel and not spend a lot of money to grow your app on the ads. But now, as the viral channel is shrinking and more games are being added, the only place you can get discovery is by buying advertisement. Over time, fewer and fewer games are actually finding success. It's also increasingly predatory. There's a lot of fast follow and cloning going on. So if I came up with a great game idea and I built it and I launched it, Zynga, Playfish, and Playdom, and CrowdStar, and everybody else will see that game and instantly fire up a development team to duplicate it and build it better than I can. And I've got a small development team of maybe 5 people. I'm just an independent shop, and they are going to go out there and do another one and beat me to it and probably be able to accelerate the development past me. We've seen this over and over again, where we had one successful farm game, and then suddenly there were 8, right? And it's a very brutal market that way, and it's very hard to defend yourself unless you're somebody like a Zynga. And there's a very few companies who are owning a higher percentage of the overall market, and I will demonstrate that with this graph. This graph shows basically the number of players that each of these companies have. These are the top 6 companies on Facebook right now. I pulled this from developeranalytics.com, which is a great source of information for the social ecology. The dark blue line is monthly active users. So you can see that Zynga has over 250 million unique people playing all of their games during the course of a month. And then the lighter blue line is their daily actives. These are the typical measurements that social companies use to measure their performance. And you can see what a quick drop-off it is from the number 1 company to the number 2 company and then down to the number 5 company. Now imagine there's also thousands more of these companies out there, and they have a meaningless market share, and it's very hard to catch up to the companies that are already there. And you can see even the second best company, which is EA, Playfish, are having a really hard time even pacing Zynga. So if you take the same graph and you apply it to the applications, the games that are out there, so the #1 game through I think about the 30th game or so, you can see the same curve where the top few games have most of the market share. And the rest of the games have, again, an increasingly meaningless share. And now imagine there's 86,000 more games and applications out there. So that curve continues, and the market share is very minimal, even after 20. And so trying to get into the top 20 is really, really hard for all the discovery problems, the advertising and the marketing. And now you've got, and even getting into the top 20 gives you a fairly thin market share. So this is a way of sort of demonstrating to you some of the issues that exist in social in an analytic way. We hear a lot of enthusiasm and hype for social. I'm part of that. I feel excited by what social can offer, but being realistic about it, it's a very difficult marketplace. So let's take a step back now and think about the business goals that we looked at earlier. Now, one thing I want to say before we go into this is that as Big Fish Games, we are in the casual space. We are the leading distributor of casual. We also develop casual games. We also develop and publish and are building a distribution platform for social. So we're fairly neutral on the outcome of this. This analysis isn't biased necessarily. It's an interesting exercise to go through to figure out whether or not we're running our business the right way. So thinking back initially to the business goals that we laid out and the way that we can control our success, we wanted to keep development costs low. We wanted to get wide distribution. We wanted to be efficient with our marketing spend, and we wanted to earn money quickly so that we didn't have our investment sitting out there on the shelves for months and months and months. So let's rate these. So keeping development costs low, and we'll go back and we can look at the graphs again. But casual was the cheapest game to build. It was the lowest cost, followed by social. Social initially, the first initial development cost is actually lower. The problem with social is that you keep spending money. You keep developing your game for months and months and months, and it eventually costs more than a casual game does. And core, of course, is ridiculously expensive, millions of dollars typically. You want to get wide distribution. Casual, while somewhat limited compared to the size of the social distribution network, is more efficient in that you can get your game on a few sites like Big Fish Games, and your customer base, who are qualified buyers, know where to go to get your game, and you don't have to market a lot. They know where to go. Social has a very large audience, and there's a lot of, you can have very wide distribution on social, but as I demonstrated, it's really hard to get discovery. It's really hard for people to find your game. So I think in my mind, then it sort of makes it second place. If that were improved, then it could easily be #1 and beats casual in that regard, but it's not there right now. And core, of course, is ridiculously difficult with the retail channels to get discovery and get your game out. Minimizing the marketing spend, I think casual wins here again. The developers basically spend zero money marketing their game. Unlike social, where they may spend over even $1 million a month just getting your game to be discovered. And in core, your marketing cost can easily pass your development cost and be greater than your development cost of the product initially. One of the last games I built at LucasArts, I think we had a development budget of about $2 million US. Our marketing budget, I believe, was $2.5 million.